Honorable Speaker, ma'am, it is the civic and moral responsibility of organic thought intellectuals and policymakers to state, define, redefine, and respond to the national question. In that regard, I stand, Honorable Speaker, ma'am, as a proud and progressive member of the non-affirmative contingent to share my thoughts to the motion at hand as stated by Honorable Mapiki and also seconded by Honorable Mtimbanyoka. If I may, Honorable Speaker, ma'am, let me begin by affirming the importance of patriotism in national building. No country can thrive without collective commitment to its citizens, to shared values, national development, and social cohesion. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, in this manner, allow me to say that patriotism can only be nurtured and can never be legislated. Honorable Speaker, ma'am, according to the 5 sources of law of our country, the Constitution is the supreme document, and by which the Constitution particularly guides us to set the tone when it comes to patriotism. If you are to read, Honorable Speaker, ma'am, the chapter 2 of the Constitution, you will note that there are founding principles and values of our Republic, Zimbabwe. The supremacy of the Constitution, the rule of law, the fundamental human rights and freedoms, the recognition of inherent dignity and worth of each human being, democracy, good governance, and transparency. These are all included as part of our Constitution. But the question, Honorable Speaker, ma'am, is what is patriotism? And if I may, define patriotism in line with what the context will tell you. Madam Speaker, ma'am, 76.9% of young people are unemployed. And this is according to Zimstat in the year 2023, their labor force survey. This is also harnessed and supported by the statistics which come from the International Labour Organization in the year 2023, which state that informalization, particularly at 85% of young people are working, particularly in the informal sector. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I submit unto you that real patriotism is when we prioritize job creation for approximately 70.4% of the unemployed, the misemployed, and the underemployed young people. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I submit unto you that real patriotism is when we have a functional healthcare system. According to Zima in 2024, there have been 5 major strikes since 2019 due to poor salaries. Not only that, if you're to look at maternal mortality, we're 462 days as per 100,000 beds, according to the World Health Organization in 2023. I put it on to you, Madam Speaker, that real patriotism is when we have a functional healthcare system, a healthcare system which protects the pregnant mothers, the doctors, the nurses, and the patients of this country to be treated with dignity and also with fairness. Madam Speaker, ma'am, $2 billion United States is lost annually to corruption, and this is in accordance to the statistics that are provided by Transparency International in the year 2023. I submit unto you, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that corruption inhibits economic development. It buttresses social inequalities, destabilizes government performance, and also corrodes public administration. Madam Speaker, ma'am, we are only patriotic if we shun, debunk corruption. Madam Speaker, ma'am, I also put it on to you that 20% dropout rate in secondary schools has been recorded by UNICEF in the year 2023. Only 12% of public schools have functional science labs, according to the statistics that were offered by the Ministry of Education in 2024. I submit unto you that real patriotism, Madam Speaker, ma'am, is when we invest in quality education, the education that is stipulated particularly in Section 75 of our own supreme document, the Constitution of this country. Madam Speaker, ma'am, For us to be patriotic, we must uphold the rule of law. 1,200 Zimbabwe records, according to the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, 1,200 political motivated arrests. We also have judiciary underfunding in this nation. Only 0.8% of the national budget allocated to the courts. And this is not according to me, it's according to the reports which were shared by the Justice Ministry in 2024. I put it on to you, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that real patriotism is when we uphold the rule of law. Real patriotism is when we let freedom of thought, freedom of expression thrive in the 390,757 square kilometer tip-of-shaped motherland called Zimbabwe. Real patriotism, Madam Speaker, ma'am, is when we recognize that 40% of urban areas face daily water shortages, according to Zinwa statistics in 2024. ZESA also reports that 18-hour daily power cuts in 2023 were noted. I put it on to you, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that real patriotism is when we provide clean water to our people, is when we stand up and face a nation in which people have electricity. Madam Speaker, ma'am, if I may redefine patriotism in this context, that affirming our stance to patriotism as an ideology is when we realize that freedom of speech should be at the center of our nation. MISA in 2004 reports that 142 journalists were arrested. 3 state-ordered blackouts during protests in 2020 to 2023, the internet shut down. Madam Speaker, ma'am, real patriotism is when we respect the freedom of speech. But not only that. Real patriotism, Madam Speaker, ma'am, is when we realize that patriotism is also us protecting our natural resources. 12 billion United States dollars in diamond revenue is lost yearly. Madam Speaker, ma'am, if I may point your eyes to the deforestation rate in this country, 330,000 hectares are lost yearly, according to the statistics provided by FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization. This is why I put it on to you that it is important to define patriotism in line with what the context says, in line with what we breathe, in line with reality. Because if we only take patriotism as a reality and then cease to see it as an idea that informs the basic reality, then we have lost the fight. Madam Speaker, ma'am, if I may, as a representative of the young people of Zimbabwe, put it on to you that 87% of Zimbabweans believe politics is divisive, and this is according to the Afrobarometer in the year 2023. The Mass Public Opinion Institute in the year 2024 also says only 32% trust the government, it is said. I put it on to you, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that real patriotism is when you unite beyond political parties. I firmly support, as I've said, highly articulated the contextual framework. I went on, Madam Speaker, ma'am, to give you the real statistics, not according to me, but statistics which give evidence to the issue at hand, which was raised by Honorable Mapiki and also seconded by Honorable Mtimbanyoka. But allow me, Madam Speaker, ma'am, as a political scientist, to bring you to the solution. The solutions are in what already I've articulated, siding with the statistics. But however, I believe, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that if government is to prioritize full implementation of Chapter 14 on devolution, so communities can have a sense of ownership in governance and development, this is true patriotism in action. Secondly, I put it to you, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission and the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission be captured to lead the civic education programs ahead of every electoral cycle. It is high time that we castigate all electoral violence, the abductions and tortures, the arrests that come, the shrinking civil society and democratic space that come whenever Zimbabwe is facing elections. I put it on to you, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that it is high time that we realize the importance of youth empowerment for us to realize how patriotic we are. It is high time that we foster and ensure that Section 75, which ensures for the accessibility and affordability of education, be realized, with job creation at the center of all and the cornerstone of any patriotic program, because I submit unto you, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that a hungry citizen cannot be patriotic at all. Madam Speaker, ma'am, if I may, as I conclude, submit unto you that this is time to build Zimbabwe, where patriotism is a choice born out of dignity, justice. It's time that we unite across the aisle and realize that patriotism is not only just an idea. Patriotism is when we respect one another. Patriotism is when we stand up and face reality, is when we give the clean water and electricity to our people, is when we offer jobs to the young people who are suffering, failing to get employed, is when we stand to ensure that the freedoms that are enlightened in the Constitution of Zimbabwe are well respected, and the supreme and the spirit of the Constitution is upheld and promoted by all. I thank you, Madam Speaker, ma'am.